Okay, guys, hopefully your test went pretty well and you are ready to move on to the next unit here. Okay, you should get your test back in the next couple of days, or hopefully even day, and then we'll take it from there. All right, this unit we're dealing with linear measurement, and it's a tricky one. No if, what's, or buts about it. So make sure you pay attention, you ask questions, and please make sure you do the work in the actual work text. Okay. So that's how you're going to learn. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about imperial units. And so imperial units is what Canada used to use, and then in about 1980s, I think it was, Canada adopted the metric system. However, the United States, Great Britain, they still use the imperial system especially for measurement, for length. And so we're just going to go over those. First thing I want to talk about, though, is what a referent is. And it's a known measure that's used for comparing and estimating. So before, they used to use like gold, buckets, pails, stones, and these sorts of things as measurements, and it was never consistent. So they started to devise these different units of concise and universal units of measurement, one of which is the imperial method. So, for instance, we start off with an inch. An inch is the smallest unit that they have in the imperial system when it comes to length. It is, you can get, depending on how precise you need to be, you can get up to 1/64th of an inch. Usually it's 1/32 of an inch or 1/16th of an inch. So if you go into carpentry, they still use the imperial units when measuring for carpentry, and they will use quite often 1/32nd or 1/64th of an inch. So especially if you really want to be fine. But an inch, typically an inch is about, if you put two of your two thumbs together, typically that width is about the same as an inch. Okay. Now a foot, usually use feet, or they use the apostrophe. It is 12 inches. So it's the next size up. Then after a foot comes a yard, where the symbol for yard is a YD, and 3 feet make up 1 yard. And then after a yard comes a mile, and 1 mile, usually used represented by MI, is 1,760 yards. And so we need to kind of know that information when we're doing it. And so if we're going, let's say for example, we have, it says right here, write 4 units of imperial measure in order from largest unit to the smallest. So again, the smallest is an inch, then it goes to foot, then it goes to yard, and then it goes to mile. And so typically we're going one way or the other when we have to kind of decide, okay? So how many inches are in 1 yard? So, well, I know 1 yard equals 3 feet. 1 foot equals 12 inches. So 1 yard, so I'm going to take my 12 inches, times that by 3, which is 36 inches. How many feet are in 1 mile? Okay, well, I know 1 mile equals 1,760 feet. Or let's actually do it the way you need to get used to seeing it. 1,760 feet. 1 foot So there we go. That's all we need to do right there. Leave it right there. Okay, so you're gonna have to really get used to going back and forth like this and be able to determine which one is which. So let's do a couple of examples. So Colin is 5 feet 11 inches tall. How tall is Colin in inches? Well, he's 5 feet. So there is 12 inches in 1 foot. So if we multiply that by 5 feet, that's going to give us 60 inches. Plus, he has 11 inches already, so we're going to add that. So Colin is going to be 71 inches tall. Jane's 5 feet 5 inches tall. How tall is she in inches? So again, 5 feet. So there's 12 inches in a foot. I'm going to multiply that by 5 feet, which is 60 inches. She is 5 feet and 5 inches already. So we'll add that existing 5 inches. So that's going to be 65 inches. Okay, Sandy's building a staircase with 8 steps. Each step is 7¼ inches high. What is the height of this staircase in feet and inches? So 7 inches and a quarter. So that is 7.25. There's 8 of them. So we're going to multiply that by 8. So that is going to be 7.25 times 8, 58. So that is 58 inches. But we want to know in feet. Well, I'm going to take the 58 and we're going to divide it by 12. 12 goes in 58 4 times, which is 48. And I subtract, I have a remainder of 10. So that means, this is the symbol for therefore, it is 4 feet and 10 inches, because there's that 10 left over. Best way to try to do these is to practice them and try them out yourself. Okay, so I want you to do page 6. Sorry, it's not page 6. That is page 40. I'd like you to do numbers 1 to 10. I'd also like you to do pages 36 to 37, numbers 1 to 12, and that is the getting started pages. And what that's going to do is that's going to help you with your fractions, which you're going to have to really start to get good at. Okay, so I just want to do a couple of examples with fractions for you before I let you go. Let's say, for example, you have 1/4 times 60. Well, all you need to do is make 60 as a fraction, which is 60 over 1. And when we're multiplying fractions, you take the top numbers, multiply them together, you take the bottom numbers, and you multiply them together. So I'm going to have 60 divided by 4. And that's what a fraction is 60 divided by 4. Now I often do a little trick with kids. 1/2 is a fraction. And if I take that fraction and I do this, and then I try to resize it, I make it smaller, starts to look just like a divide sign. Okay, and that's what a fraction is. It's strictly a division symbol. So I'm going to divide 60 by 4, which is 15. Oops. Okay, so that's probably the easiest thing to do. The other thing I want to do is if you see something like 3/8, now we're doing equivalent fractions. And we want to know what that number is right there. Two ways to do it. Probably the simplest way is we cross multiply and divide. So there's 4 spots here. But you can see that these two numbers here that are kitty corner to each other, they're there. So I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to multiply it by the 16. Then I divide by the number that's left over, which is that 8. So that's all I need to do is just divide by that 8. So I'll take that 48 and divide it by 8, which is 6. So the number that would go in here would be 6. The other way to do it is, what did I do to this 8 to make it 16? Well, I had to times that by 2. So that means I have to times that by 2. And 3 times 2 is 6. So I know I'm correct. So try out the getting started and do page 40, numbers 1 to 10 as well. Okay? Remember, any questions, put your hand up, because next we're going to take a look at the metric system.